Dr. She did her PhD and worked in 3 different institutes in the UK for around 8 years. Now she has moved to Sweden and works on her own consultancy company in Sweden since 2019. Uh, in today's presentation, she wants to share her work and life experience in the UK and in Sweden. UK and Sweden are both European countries, but the working environment and the lifestyle is still quite different. Here we talk about the difference of PhD system, immigration system, welfare, salary tax, and the lifestyle in these 2 different countries. She will also share her experience of searching and applying jobs in UK and in Sweden. Oh, that's very important. In the end, she will share some tips for getting jobs in Europe.
Hi everyone. It was very happy that I can come to this webinar and share my personal experience in Europe, in the UK and Sweden. So my name is Jou-Yi Shih. I am a railway infrastructure specialist, and now I'm working for my own company, Dynamic Engineer, OTEA, in Stockholm, Sweden. And today I mainly want to share my story about how I applied PhD in the UK and how does that work, and also what is the difficulties and what happens. And also I would like to use my story to encourage the young engineer in Taiwan, especially who can't speak very good English, and especially a woman engineer, to have the courage to apply a position in Europe and also study abroad or find a job in Europe. So hopefully you will like this presentation. So firstly, I would like to talk about my background. So as Dr. Chen mentions, I did my bachelor degree and also master degree in National Central University in Taiwan. After I did my bachelor degree and master degree, I went to CECI to work for 2 years. And then when I was there, there's a chance that I went for a conference in the UK. And because of that, I deeply fall in love in the UK. So that's also one of the reasons why in the end I applied the PhD positions in the UK. So in 2012, I moved to the UK and I started my PhD life. I did my PhD in University of Southampton. It is a city in the south of UK, in the south of London. And my PhD was funded by EPSRC Center. So it is actually like a founder research institute that usually finds good research projects to fund. After my PhD, I went to research another researchers in Huddersfield. It's somewhere close to Manchester. And after that, I worked there for 1 year and I moved to BCRE, another research center in Birmingham. And then in 2018, I decided to move to Sweden and open my own company. And so now I'm still working on it. And here shows some my clients and also my partners. So I'm working mainly for R&I projects. So, and consultancy work for some of the company I show here. And talk about some professional experience. So I'm specialized in numerical simulation for railway infrastructure. And I have done a lot of numerical simulation. This is one of the experience and one of the example for the high-speed railway embankment design. And then I also have involved in, this is like the present projects I'm working on. So this is a digital twin for railway switching crossing. So I did modeling and also hardware, software development, and also the measurements and using the digital twin. So that is one of the projects I'm working on. So I'm not gonna talk more about my professional or my things. Now I'm just gonna move to my personal experience of PhD in the UK. So in the UK, there's 2 types of PhD. One is a funded one, another one is a self-funded one. The funded PhD, basically you can search online. It's more like a job positions. So you can search on every university in Europe, actually, not only in the UK. And then they usually have the project titled already. And then you can actually apply for it. And then it's usually full fund. And there's another type of PhD, self-funded. So mainly that, meaning that you have to bring your own funding to do your PhD. And this funding can be either your own pocket, or it can be scholarship from your own country, or any type of scholarship. And then for self-funded PhD, you can actually choose what project title you want to work on. It's not restricted to the title. What I did is I applied for the self-funded PhD because I don't even know there is a funded PhD while I'm applying for PhD. So, and this for applying for a self-funded PhD, you need to first contact. Usually, that is how people do. And because I didn't know when I was applying for it, so I actually didn't really follow what I was telling you now. So first, you usually contact the supervisor. That's the university you want to go, and also the supervisor that you want to study with. And then the supervisor, if they're happy about your CV, they will reply you and then give you an interview. After the interview, if they're happy about it, then they will ask you to apply. And then you have to apply and then prepare some of the documents. So in the UK, there is several documents you have to apply, but depends on different university, then you have to apply. You have to prepare different thing. And then there's a language test called IELTS you have to pass, and also depends on different university, then you will have to it has different number though. So in University of Southampton, the IELTS test, you have to be higher than 6.5 in order to be able to go and study there. And while I'm applying for the PhD in the UK, I didn't really contact the supervisor and I didn't have the interview. I just applied directly to the university, which is not common and I don't recommend. But I found a very good institute that's actually in Taiwan, help the students to apply master degree or PhD degree in the UK, and they are free. At least when I was applying for it, it was free. And then what they do is they actually help you to prepare all the documents you need to apply for the PhD, apply for the thing in the UK. For example, they can also ask you, also tell you how to prepare. They sometimes also help you to find the funding, which is very good because they actually helped me to find one of full funding PhD positions in the UK in another university, but in the end I didn't go. I will tell the story later. So when I was applying, I did my language test. I didn't pass the exam actually. So I got 6 instead of 6.5. So what happened when I didn't pass the English? So there is this is very common in the UK. They have like professional English language courses. So you went a bit earlier than the start of your actual course, and you have to pay quite a lot. So what I did is I pay 150,000 Taiwanese dollar for 6 weeks, including accommodation. And then during these 6 weeks, it also depends on your mark. So if you have higher mark, then you don't need to spend so much time for this course. But if you have very, very low mark, then you have to stay a little bit longer. For example, 2 months, 3 months, sometimes even can be half year. And so of course, it's gonna be a lot of money. And what they do is they prepare a lot of English courses for you, and then you have to study basically full time. And then after the courses, they will give you an exam, and then you will have to pass the exam in order to start your actual study in the UK. And it's actually quite tough. It's not like you just pay and then you got the thing. Everything so happen. So when I was in the UK, when I arrived in the UK, I actually didn't have the funding because I was applied as a self-funded student. What I did, and it is actually very expensive to study PhD in the UK. The tuition fees in 2012 is £18,000. And then the living cost in Southampton is also quite expensive. But it also depends on how you want to live your life in the UK. It can vary a lot, but I think £15,000 is actually, you can have like an average and good life in Southampton. So in total, it will cost around 1.3 million per year. And then in the UK, the PhD program is 3 years, so it's gonna end up a lot of money. And I didn't actually prepare so much money for myself to go there. So what I did is I went to see my supervisor, and then I prepared a very nice document, what I have did for in Taiwan, like when I was working, and also for my master degree, and also what I have did, all my work experience. And I bring all this and then talk to him, and then told him that I really would like to study PhD in the UK and with you, but I don't have such a lot of money to support myself. I probably can only support myself for 1 year. And what I asked him is, if you can't really provide me the funding for my PhD, then I probably will just spend 1 year for master degree and then go back to Taiwan. And after I talked to my supervisor, he was quite happy about my profile. And then in the end, he really wanted to keep me to study PhD in the UK. So in the end, he actually helped me to get the full funds for me for 3.5 years in the UK, including the tuition fee and also the living cost, which is, I really appreciate that. And how is the personal? So this is my personal experience of PhD in the UK. So what is good about PhD in Europe, I think, is that you only need to work on your own project. You don't need to work on any other thing. In the UK, you just need to focus on your own project. And then your supervisor is really just like your colleague. You meet him from time to time, and then he just gives you direction. He wouldn't ask you to do what to do. And also you will have the chance to go to many, many conferences, and including international conference. And then also what I learned from the life in PhD is like life is important. So although you are doing PhD is tough, but we usually don't work in the weekend, and we usually finish work after 5, 6 o'clock. We don't stay very long in the office because my friends, so when I was studying the language course, I actually have a lot of friends, and then they are all European. And then they actually all told me life is very important. You have to go out and then to have like to have a clear mind, and then you will have a better research quality. And I actually believing in that because they actually helped me a lot. And then also, if you can have the time to gather with all the other people, then you have very good connection, which is very important in your career, I believe. So this is my PhD life in the UK. And then while I'm finishing my PhD, I got an offer from Institute of Rural Research. So I went there to work for 1 year. Here I would like to mention that I actually have the chance to stay in Southampton, but I was very desperate to leave Southampton. On one hand is I feel like it's a very boring city, and then on the other hand is I really would like to explore my networks, and I really don't regret because it's really helped me a lot to expand my network. And also, when you go to another university or another position, another institute, then people won't treat you like a student anymore. Because I feel like if you are always staying in the same university, actually people will treat you still like a student, especially your supervisor. So I'm quite happy that in the end I insist to change the university and then to work in another place. And after working there for 1 year, I got another offer from Birmingham University as a research fellow, and I worked there for 3 years, and now they are my client actually. So the thing is, so the reason why I moved to Sweden is like I met my husband and he got the offer in Sweden, so he went to Sweden and worked there. So we have to figure out how to be together. So that's also why in the end we decided to move to Sweden, because he keep telling me how good is the system in Sweden. It's not comparable to the UK. So he convinced me. So I started looking for a job actually in Stockholm. But it's quite frustrating. I will tell later. It's not that easy to find a job in another country if you are not in their system. Especially Europe is a very small market, I would say. So people know each other. And if you want to change another country, usually it's not that easy, because then you have to build up a new network, and then in order to let people understand you, to know you. And also you have the language problem. So it is actually quite tough. So I didn't manage to get the job in Stockholm, to be honest. But what I did is, because when I told my boss in BCRE in University of Birmingham that I'm gonna leave and move to Sweden, and he really want to keep me, so he actually told me that maybe you can continue working for me and then you stay in Stockholm. But I didn't agree because there will be a tax issue, because the tax in the UK and also the tax in Sweden is very different. And then by law, you should pay tax in the place that you are living. So I told him, so I refused him to do that. And in the end, we come up with the idea that I open my own company in Stockholm, and then he can subcontract the thing to me to carry on working for them. So that's actually it's like a chance for me to open my own company in Stockholm. And now, so when they need my expertise, and so they will subcontract me and then doing the work. So I'm doing quite a lot of projects for them, like mainly the research projects, and also I'm doing supervision for PhD in University of Birmingham as well. So one of my students is going to graduate this year. And I also found a client in Stockholm, and the story is the publications that I made when I was doing my PhD actually helped me. So although a lot of people say publication is not going to help you, but actually the publications article helped me to find my client in Sweden. So the story is the client found my paper and it's very relevant to one of their R&I projects. So they contact me and asked me for an interview. So I went for an interview and they are very happy about my profile. They think that my profile fit this project perfectly. So in the end, they subcontract me to do the consultant work for 2 years. And then after 2 years, they are very happy. So they are carry on collaborate with me for the following project. So that is actually my work experience and my story in the UK and in Sweden. And later on, because my husband did his PhD in Sweden, so I also know quite a lot about the PhD system in Sweden as well. So here I make a table for comparison between UK and Sweden. So in the UK, the tuition fee per year, as I mentioned, is very, very expensive. Yeah. Oh, here I put the wrong number. This is not 900 crown. It's much more. Oh, it is 900 crown. So I changed the currency. So crown is like 3 times of the Taiwanese dollar. I make it the same here. So the tuition fee per year in the UK is 9,000 crown, and in Sweden is 0. So the PhD positions in Sweden is quite different. I think it's more like a job. So they only have like a specific project title, and then you apply for it, like what I showed before. So you have to search for all the university if you are interested in applying PhD in Sweden. You have to search for the positions in Sweden, and you have to apply for it. And then they will also give, if they like your profile, they will have the interview. And after interview, then you can get the job. And it is the paid job actually. So in Sweden, you actually got salary every month. And then the salary is, so it's around 1 million crowns per year. And then for Sweden, the PhD program is 5 years. And in the UK, the program is 3 years. So it's much shorter than Sweden, which is quite good in one hand. But in Sweden, you actually got paid every month. And then the pay is actually quite nice. You can survive quite well in the country. And then it's 5 years. But the difference is like you have to pay tax when you are doing the PhD in Sweden. It is around 20%. But in the UK, you don't need to pay tax because in PhD in the UK is still like a student. So you don't need to pay any tax for it. But in the UK, in Sweden, teaching is mandatory. So you will have to spend 20% of the time to teach. You can teach like a bachelor's school courses, or you have to be like a assistant for the teacher. So that is mandatory. But in the UK, it is not necessary. It's not mandatory. So if you don't want to teach, you don't need to teach. If you want to be a teaching assistant, you can earn like extra money. And the permanent resident permit, I think that is quite interesting. So in the UK, you will have to stay 10 years legal resident permit, and then you can apply for the permanent resident permit. Or you will have to be employed 5 years and then pay tax, and then you can apply for the permanent resident permit. But as I mentioned, that in the UK, PhD is still like a student, so you can't use this 5 years period. You will have to go for the 10 years. So it's actually a very long time. But in Sweden, you can apply for the permanent resident permit after 4 years while you are doing your PhD. Because as I told you that the PhD in Sweden is actually like a job. It's not really like a student. So you are actually paying tax there. So after 4 years, then you can apply for the permanent resident permit. And then talk about the defense, the FIBA. So in the end of the PhD, you will have to defend yourself. So in the UK, you have 2 reviewers. One is like internal, another one is external. And then they will have to challenge your PhD and ask you a lot of questions. And then if you're happy about it, and then you can graduate. You can get your PhD degree. And in Sweden, is actually, I think, more challenging is the public one. So meaning that when you are about to finish your PhD, you finish your thesis, and then you have to send the news that you are gonna defend your PhD, and then you have to send your thesis to relevant reviewer in Europe usually, and then it is public. So everyone would like to come to your PhD viva, they can come and then challenging you. And then so it is quite different compared to the UK system. But I have heard from other friends that probably, I think in Europe, most of the PhD defense is like public one, like Sweden. Only UK is a bit different. And completion. So the completion in the UK, usually you write the thesis, or usually this is the most common way. People just write the thesis and then you can graduate. So in the UK, you don't need to publish anything, and then you can actually get your PhD degree. But in Sweden, that is not common. You definitely need to have the publication, and then usually people have 4 articles. But the good thing is you don't need to write a very big thesis. Usually you just write a very short summary, and then you attach all the article you published during this 5 years in the end of the thesis as like an attachment. And then that's counted as a final thesis. The PhD topic, as I mentioned before, so the UK, you have 2 different ones. So you can be like Swedish one, that you can have to fund this project, like you have a specific project you have to work on, or you can work on any different project that's because you have your own money to study your own PhD. About the life after PhD, so usually in the UK, after 3 years, you got your PhD, and now they changed the rule. So you can get a 3 years work visa after you finish your PhD. This actually started in 2021. So while I was studying my PhD, they don't have this rule. They removed this. So after your PhD, you don't have the work visa. So it's actually quite challenging to find a job. But now I think it's much easier because they provide you 3 years work visa for you to look for a job, and also the company are more willing to employ you. And in Sweden, you basically get the permanent resident permit straight away, so you don't have the visa issue. And I would like to talk about the opportunities. So in the UK, I would say the opportunity after PhD is really good because there's a lot of company in the UK, a lot of research institute, and also a lot of university in the UK. So I would say it's quite easy to find a job after the education. Because especially now they have this law that you can have the work permits to continue after your study. And this is opportunities not only for PhD, it's also for master student as well. Although the year is a bit shorter, I think for master degree is 2 years work permit, but the PhD is a bit longer. And so now I think if you went and study there, and then you will have a very good chance to stay in the UK to work. But in Sweden, it's quite difficult, I would say, because as I mentioned before, that I tried to apply a job in Sweden, and it's actually not very easy. The problem is if you're an engineer, they really needs you to speak Swedish. And Swedish is really different language compared to English, so you will have to put effort to study Swedish. That is I think the language problem is the main problem. So that's why it's very difficult unless you can speak Swedish. Then the company will be very willing to offer you a job, because there's also a lot of company in Sweden, although it's less than UK, but still a lot of chance. But you will have to be able to speak Swedish. So if you're into find a job in Sweden, then you will have to better learn Swedish as soon as possible. And how is the life in working in the UK and Sweden? So the salary, you can see that there's a difference. So in Sweden, you got a higher pay per month. So it's 120,000 per month, and then in the UK, it's 90,000 per month. So UK is actually a bit lower. This is like base salary after you graduate from the school, I would say. And the tax in Sweden is, I think, it's famous for being very high, and it is actually very high. You pay a lot of tax, like 30 to 50%. And in the UK, it looks like, if you look at the documents, and then it seems like it's lower, like 20 to 30%. But because you need to pay a lot of different things, like different taxing extra, like the city council tax. And I feel like when I was working in the UK and then working in Sweden, I feel like in the end, the tax I paid is almost the same. It's very similar. And holiday, the UK have 25 to 30 holidays, and Sweden is 30 days holiday. And the working style, I think both countries is very focused on teamwork. They don't like individual excellence. I mean, so in Sweden, it's more obvious. What I heard from my friends here is like the manager really don't like people to work very hard. So what they do, so what I have heard the story from my friends that he's a Taiwanese, so he worked very hard every day, and then, but what his manager told him is like, he came to him and asked him not to work so hard because you will stress other people, which is quite interesting story I heard. So in Sweden, they really like teamwork, and then they are very focused on family as well. And then, so they don't really like to rely on one person working on one project because they feel like it's quite dangerous for them, I think, because then everything will have to rely on this person. So what they do, they really would like to have a teamwork. Like if there's one person that is not available, then there will be another person can replace him. So that's how the company works in Sweden. So teamwork is very important. And because of this, so it's also very difficult if they don't know you, they offer you a job. So that's why I say the networking is very important in Sweden. They will have to really know you and to offer you a job, because it's like a challenging and also a risk for them to hire a person. And the parental benefit in Sweden, I think, is famous. The Nordic country is famous for very good. So you have 1.5 year, 80% pay share with both partner. And then it's actually paid by the government. And most of the company will top up to 90%. And there's also one thing that I really like. So there's 3 months mandatory parental benefit that you have to apply for both, meaning that your husband will have to take the parental leave. It's like mandatory 3 months. So it's very good, meaning Sweden is a very feminist country. So I really encourage like women engineer to come here. It's very nice. You will love it, and because I really enjoy it. And in the UK, it's 4 months full pay. And the working environment in Sweden is really, really excellent. It's really nice because the employer really wants to keep the employee happy. So they usually provide a very nice environment for you to work. And they also provide dessert and coffee, and then you have your own office. It's really nice because I have been to my client's office. It's like a castle. It's not like an office. But the working environment in the UK is not very, I think it's quite similar to Taiwan, that you have your own desk and then a lot of people in the same office. But this is only for like my field, like more like civil engineer and mechanical engineer. Maybe if it's like a computer science, maybe this will be a bit different. And here I would like to share the living style in the UK. And so I have listed some of the example of how much it costs in the UK and Sweden. And in the UK, I think in the Sweden is the same. It depends on different city, then the rent is totally different. So you can see the UK, the rent is like really different. It can be double difference. And because I only stay in Stockholm, so this is the only number I know. And the healthcare in Sweden, you have to pay a little bit, but after 2,000 crowns, then it's free. But in the UK, everything is free. But it's not really good actually, because then it's very hard to book appointments in the UK. So when I was in the UK, if you want to go to see a doctor, then you usually have to wait like 2 weeks in order to see a doctor, unless you're really dying and you go to the emergency. Even you go to the emergency, if you're not actually dying, you have to wait like 3-4 hours in the emergency place, which is not very nice. The education in the UK is very expensive, as I mentioned before. It's very expensive. And in Sweden, it's free. Everything is free in Sweden for the education, since you are in the kindergarten, actually. So Like my daughter is 1 year old now. He is going to the kindergarten in August, and then start from that is all free until you die, basically. Because if you suddenly want to go back to the uni to study, then you are very welcome. You can go back and it's everything free. If you have if you are residents here. And then there is an example of how much it costs in the UK and Sweden. I think the only problem in Sweden, I would say, is the weather and the light. So in the weather here is not very nice. It's very dark. It's very, very dark. So from November to April is basically no light. So you will have, so a lot of people are quite depressed in the winter because it's very dark and very, 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 very cold. So you just want to stay home, and then if you go out, it's like a dead city, I would say. And in the UK, it's much better. And then the weather is a bit warmer, and then the light, I think I can handle it. But it's the only thing that I don't really like about Sweden. So here, just show some pictures of the UK. And in the UK, I think it's quite tourist place, so people are quite familiar with UK. So this is just one picture to show. So you have like, if for tourist purpose, I think UK is more interesting than Sweden. In Sweden, they are not so much interesting to see, to be honest. They don't have much mountain. This is the only mountain in the north that I went for hiking. But it's very beautiful country. It's a very natural place. Like you have water, you have trees everywhere. It's very good for living. But if you want to come for tourists, I wouldn't recommend because there is not so many interesting things to see. So here's my advice and suggestion. So take the responsibility, but never forget teamwork. So because while I'm working, you will have to fight for the work that you are interested. You don't just work on what your manager said, but you still need to work as a teamwork. Otherwise, people wouldn't like it. That's what I feel. And take the risk and never undervalue yourself. This actually is very important for me because since I had my whole education in Taiwan, and also the culture is very different. So I actually changed a lot since I moved here. And my husband also changed me a lot as well because the mindset has really changed. Like, don't underestimate yourself and don't undervalue yourself because sometimes you do something or you apply for something, you feel like maybe I'm not worthy or maybe I'm not make it, but you always go for you have to be always confident. I think that is very important. And talk to people, make connection. This is, I think, the most important thing I learned in Europe. You really have to make connection because connection really help you a lot because it help you to find job and also help you to have the collaboration chance. And it's really, really important. So don't just sit in front of the desk and working. You have to like talk to people, make connection. I think that is much more important than getting a very cool PhD, I would say. The people is the most important thing. And I also have some suggestion for applying PhD in the UK. So I would say supervisor is very, very important. It's much more important than the university itself. So it's better to find a very famous and very good good supervisor than going to a very good university, I would say. In my case, University of Southampton is not the top university, but my supervisor is very well known in my field. So it actually make my paper to be viewed very more. And also here, because if you talk to people that, oh, my supervisor is like my supervisor, and then they will immediately like believe in you, I would say. And also for the university, you will realize that there is less funding opportunity in the top university because they are not lack of students. There's a lot of students who like to study there. So the funding chance is not as much as other university, but because there is other university, they are not a top university, but they actually have funding for the PhD, but probably there's not so many people apply for it. So they usually have more funding positions in other university. And there's also another suggestion I would like to suggest is like when you go and find your potential supervisor, and you might want to do PhD with a very famous supervisor, but there's a chance that you email him 1,000 times and then he didn't reply you. It's not because he doesn't want to reply. Sometimes because they are too busy. What I suggest is like you can search for his paper, and then you can look for the active researcher, like the co-author, and then to see who is the researcher that is very close to him, and then they publish together. And then you can actually contact that person instead of the very busy one, because this actually happened to me. So, and also in one of my colleague in Birmingham University. So we are not in a very high position. We are just a research fellow, and then we write paper with my boss, and he is really popular and very famous in our field. So a lot of students would like to study with him, but they can't find, he's super busy, so he can't really have the time to reply everyone. So what they do is they contact us, and then if we like his profile, her profile, then we can suggest them to our boss, and then he will probably find the funding. So there's also another story, like although there is self-funding option that there is no specific project, but there is a lot of research center in the UK. They still have the funding, but they didn't really have the people to give. So this is what happened. So if we suggest a student to them, and then if they are happy about it, then they actually can find the funding for you to do your own project. So that is what I was suggesting. And in terms of suggesting applying job in Europe, I think LinkedIn will be your best friend. It's very important. So if you don't have the LinkedIn account, apply for one, because now in Europe, everyone look at the LinkedIn. So when you apply for a job, they actually ask for the account. They want to use LinkedIn, immediately see how is your profile. And so that become very important now. And languages is the most important thing as well. So when you apply either job in UK or in Europe, if you talk properly, then they will feel like you are competent, and then they usually are more willing to offer you a job. And as I mentioned, in Sweden, you will have to be able to speak Swedish. Otherwise, it's very challenging. But there is one engineer that is really, really lacking in Sweden. And then even though you don't speak Swedish, you can still find a lot of job. That is computer science. So there is a lot of job positions open in Sweden. If you are specialized in computer engineering, software engineering, or data analytics, then it's very easy to find a job, although you don't speak Swedish. But if you want to find job like mechanical engineer or civil engineer, then you definitely need to speak Swedish. So that's my presentation. Hope you like it. And any question?
Thanks for Dr. to make so many helpful tables for us to compare so many things from UK and Sweden. And it sounds like a PhD is like behind by the Swedish government. So you need to pay a tax, and so you got the working experience in Sweden for starting a PhD. And I think your paper, your journal paper you publish is more like a industry relevant. So that's the reason you can get some feedback and get some job, because people review your paper. So that means you need to do the useful research, not only for theoretical part.
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember many years ago you said you thought to get a teaching job back to Taiwan. Is that still in your mind?
You mean open a company in Taiwan?
Oh no, a teaching job.
Oh yeah, so they actually invite me again, but I didn't apply. So yeah, because now I really like the system here. So I don't think I'm gonna go back to Taiwan, because especially in Sweden, it's really a very feminist system. You will be impressed. Like, so in here, a lot they are really supporting women to be like in the higher positions. So not only the parental leave is very good for women, and also in terms of job and everything, is you can see a lot of managers, they are all women. So I do really enjoy this environment here. So, and also the kids benefits and everything here is much better than Taiwan. So I think I will stay here. And and also working for my own company, I really enjoy because it makes my time very flexible, and then I can work on the project I like, and it's also well paid. So I haven't have any, I didn't, maybe when I get very, very old, then I will retire and then move back to Taiwan. That's my plan at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Uh, we got one question in the chat box, so maybe I pass the question to Dr. He first. So the question is from Oliver. The question is two. Oliver, there's two questions. Does the working hours be adjusted in North Europe during daylight saving time? The second question is that possible to find an engineer job for foreigner after graduated from UK?
Okay, so the working hours is very flexible in Nordic countries. So it's really, and also they care is you deliver the job, you deliver the work. So they don't really care where you work or how much time you work. So you just need to deliver the thing on time. So in terms of like the adjustable or not, I would say it depends. Like if there is like a lot of projects deadline, then you definitely have to work. And so I don't think you have this problem of like, because the light is less, so you have to work less, or because the light is more, so you have to work more. But in Sweden, actually, they usually take a very long holiday in July, 1 month holiday. I'm not joking. Now is their holiday, so everything is basically closed. Like all the company, they are all on holiday in July. So actually in July, there's no one working. And the second question is, find an engineer job for foreigner after graduate from UK. It is possible, as I mentioned before, if you speak Swedish in Sweden. This is the first option. Second option is like you study computer science, because there's really a lot of computer science positions in Stockholm at the moment. Basically, you got a degree, you found a job. So, and I also know a lot of Taiwanese, they actually applied directly from Taiwan, and then they actually get the job, meaning that they are really lack of engineer in computer science, data analytics, this field. So if you study that, then I think you will have very high chance to get the job in Sweden.
Yep. Okay.
So,
Now we have Leo Shih. Leo Shih.
Hi, Jou-Yi. Hi, Ming Huang. This is Theo. Thanks for sharing today and hosting for the activity. And I got one question is that, Jou-Yi, you just mentioned that you found a company in Sweden. And I know that would be a lot of requirements to host your company there. But from your point of view, what is the most difficult part to find a company in Sweden?
you mean to open your own company or to find a job?
I mean, to open your own company.
Yeah, it is easy and difficult, I would say. So you will need to know Swedish. So thanks for my husband. So he actually helped a lot for me to open the company itself, because you will have to read all the documents, and most of them are basically only Swedish. Although you can have someone to help you. So it's not very difficult, but it takes a lot of time. I spent like maybe 3 months to really actually open up the company, because you have to apply for a lot of things. You have to apply for the loans, for the VAT, and then you also have to apply for the organization number. And then after that, then this is actually a lot of documents you have to prepare. Then you have to fill in, but it's not difficult. And then after that, I think the difficult part is how you're gonna run your company. Like, for example, how much salary you want to give to yourself, because you know the tax is very high in Sweden, so you have to play around. But what I did is actually make an optimization and algorithms in my computer, and then to optimize my salary and also the income based on my turnover. So it's fun. I enjoy it, and my husband also enjoy running the company, because it also gives you a lot of benefit. Like, for example, a lot of things you can be the cost in for example, you want to buy a new computer, you can put in the cost in your company, something like that. So it makes your life very flexible. So money wise and time wise and work wise, they are all very good.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, I'm going to Stockholm next month, so it would be great if I can meet you in person. And
Yeah,
I'm also
great.
from, yeah, and I just figured like you're from National Central University, and I graduated from that in civil engineering before. So I mean, it'd be great if I can meet you there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you can give me your email or contact, and we can meet in Stockholm. Yeah, I'm stuck here because of my daughter, so I
Sure,
can't go
it'd be my
anywhere.
pleasure. Just add you
Yeah,
from the LinkedIn. Thanks.
yeah, no problem.
That's great. And next one, let's have a Stewart Song.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I'm just wondering, does your company employ any local people, Swedish?
No, because I'm working for my company, not only me myself, because so my clients now is mainly want to use my expertise. So they basically want to only use me as a resource. They don't want to use any other people. So that's actually one of the problem now. So I don't have any employee in my company, and here it's not necessary, as far as I know in Sweden. So basically, my company is only me myself, and then there is a board member. My husband is involved. It's just because by law that you need to have 2 members, so that's why he's involved. But I got like 100% share, and then he and for my company. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. And is it I mean, is it a plan to explore different client in Sweden or
Yes,
maybe?
I'm planning actually, and actually there is other client contact me recently, and because I have a very strict contract with my present clients because they don't want me to work for any other clients in Sweden, so I have signed a very strict contract with them, and it's gonna end at the end of this year. So after this year, I will contact the other client again.
Okay. Thank you for answering.
No problem.
Okay. Next question is from Simon. How do you learn Swedish?
So my Swedish is still very bad. I can maybe understand a little, speak a little. And because I told you when I was looking for a job in Sweden, I actually failed. I didn't find a job because I can't speak Swedish. And still now I can't really speak Swedish because it's very difficult language. But the thing is here they have very good system to provide you learning a language. So they have a lot of free Swedish courses in Stockholm. So you can actually apply and then go and learn. They have the intense one, they have the not intense one. I have been to the intense one, so it's very intense. Basically, you go there every day from Monday to Friday, and then 8 hours every day. You have to work on Swedish, and it's a 1 year program. So after 1 year, then you will speak like a native language speaker. But I didn't manage to finish everything because in my company become very busy, and then I found a client here, and also I have to work for the UK project, so I didn't have much time to spend on Swedish, so I didn't really improve my Swedish in the end. But they have a very good resource here if you want to learn Swedish. That's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is from Qian Li. Let me tell you, Qian is from CECI Taiwan. Can you elaborate more details about the service scope of your business?
Oh, so I'm I'm working a lot for the R&I projects, the R&D projects, so the research and development. So I'm specific for railway infrastructures. I can maybe say some example what I did before and also what I did recently. So I got the project from Network Rail from the UK. They want to put a accelerometer on the axle box in order to measure the track stiffness measurement. So they want me to help them to basically review their work, and because I'm an expert in that, I do a lot of post-processing data and also measurements. So help them to do like how to use the data to get something useful. Basically, that is one of the thing that I did. So it's more like a consultant's work. And I also do another project for HS2, the high-speed railway 2 in the UK. So what I did is like they have a new they want to put expansion joints in the new line, and then it's canted and also curved, which is not common. So I usually deal with the uncommon problems basically, and then they have the problems, and then they find we try to figure out, is this okay, the design, or it is we have to improve it. So what I did is I try to assess their new design and then tell them that it is okay, or you have to improve it by using which method. So this, I really just do consultant work. So if you have a problem is related to railway infrastructure, and then they come to me and they ask me that if I do like this, is this okay, or I have to improve it. Like my Swedish project is like they have a problem for embankment reinforcement. So they have a lot of very soft soil in Sweden, and they want to build a high-speed rail on it. And because it's very soft, so you will have a lot of problem. What they want me to do is try to help them to develop a numerical tool that can assess this problem specifically, and also assess using which reinforcement measure is the best one. So that is the work I'm doing for Sweden. So it's quite broad, but it's all within the railway infrastructure. So you have the problem, and then I try to solve it. That is what I do.
Yeah, that's a very, very special field. Okay, Beth, her question is, where do you go to meet new people and expand your network?
So the workshop, conference, even coffee shop. And it's like recently when I come to Sweden, and then they have like a website for chatting. And then so I just apply for it, and then they provide me like a mentor for me to do like just practice Swedish. And then I actually become my connections because she was in my field, and then he's in a very high level in Sweden. And then he actually not really helped me a lot, but not only helped my Swedish, but also I realized the world is very small because everyone knows each other. So that is the thing. And you have to really talk to people and like go to the forums and go to the workshop. And then the best is you have a presentation, and then you go there and then you present your work. And then after the work, usually people will come and talk to you and asking questions, or you go to other people's presentation you are interested, and then you go and ask questions. So yeah, that's how I make connections.
So next one is from Bingxian Wu. There are two questions.
I feel it's an extraordinary experience of your experience. So I went to search your master thesis in Taiwan. It's related to the railway system, but I know maybe there are some differences from Asian system and the Europe system. So when you went to Europe for PhD study and focus on the Europe railway system, is there any challenge from these two kind of culture or system?
In terms of theoretically, I think there's no problem. There's no difference. And I would say the Taiwanese one is probably better because here they are, because we are all workaholic and then work very hard. So we have no problem for doing research or anything. In terms of culturally, I think it's more like living style, I would say. And also the way you think, I would say. So in Europe, they really ask you to have critical thinking, meaning that you don't just follow. You have to have your own idea and own thinking. I think that is very important if you want to really stay in Europe, because if you don't have that attitude, then you won't be able to adapt to the system, because then you will have to always follow what people ask you to say. And then here they don't really like this type of people, because then you have to always give you order and then ask you what to do, and then you don't really know what to do. You can't really lead the project. That is not very good, I think, because they want someone can actually lead the project. They can leave it to you, and then they don't need to care, and then you will deliver thing on time and the quality is good, and that is all they want basically. So in terms of theoretically background or like how to do research, I think there's no problem, but I think this critical thinking is very important.
So Bing, you want to continue asking your question 2 and 3?
Yes, my question is focused about the differences of the railway system, especially maybe UK and Sweden system, or the railway system in Europe is similar to let you adapting your study from on the all countries in
I
Europe?
think railway system is basically everywhere all the same. They all have facing the same problem. It's just maybe the gauging is different and then the vehicle is different. So the infrastructure is a little bit different, but they all face the same problem. Yeah, because recently I got a lot of projects and then they basically all have the same issue. And same for my husband as well, because my husband is working in the company in here in Stockholm, and then he's actually a specialist in vehicle dynamics. So we are actually in the same field. I'm handling for the infrastructure part, and then he is handling for the vehicle part. And then he is also always telling me that they are always having the same problem, having the same projects and dealing with the same thing. So I would say there's not a huge difference between the railway system in other country. It's just a different type and different geometry. Probably they will have a little bit difference. Like for example, the soil property is different compared to different country, but it's not a huge difference.
The last question is from Sean. How big is the Taiwanese community in Stockholm?
Yeah, like how does a lot of Taiwanese people live in Stockholm, or it's pretty hard for?
I don't know how much, because I just here 3 years, so, and I'm not a ministerial population here, so I don't know how many. But I would say I met quite a lot here. So there is, and also because I joined a society actually. It's like a business trades society for the young. I don't remember the name, the full name. So I actually met a lot of people there. So I would say it's quite a lot here. And then a lot of them is also doing business here, have their own company, or they are employee or students, a lot as well. And or a lot of mom here, because recently I have my daughter. So I know a lot of mom, they married to a Swedish guy. But I have to say I'm very proud of Taiwanese women, because all of them have their own job. They all work here. They all find a very good job in Sweden. Because in Sweden, they really don't like to be a housewife. In Sweden, it's not a job. So you have to really find their Swedish husband and their husband all encourage them to have their independent finance and also to have your own life, basically. So that's also one of the reasons why I really appreciate and I very like this system here.
Thanks, everyone. I think we do have a very, very great presentation and learn a lot from Dr. Shih today. Okay, before you go, next month, our speaker is in our meeting room as well. So, Oliver Shih, will you want to have some introduction for your presentation next month?
And I'm very glad to invite you to join the next month's webinar as a speaker. And next month, I plan to share my working experience in the Middle East, in the country called Oman next to the UAE, Dubai. And then I will also share my working experience in one of the big EPC company in Taiwan. And currently, I'm working the biggest foreign semiconductor industry. Yeah, so I hope maybe next month we can gather together and discuss about engineering together. Yeah. Thank you for your join, everyone. Have a good holiday.
Yeah, I really would like to join all the meeting, but unfortunately the time difference makes it very difficult for me to join, because usually your meeting is at 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's almost impossible for me to join the meeting. Yeah, so if you can change a little bit of time, maybe I will be able to join the meeting.
Actually, we have some UK engineer want to join, but in their times will be more earlier, more. Some candy want to join. He says 5 or 4 o'clock in the.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I understand it's very difficult to organize like a really international webinar for everyone and fit everyone's time. I think it's very difficult. So someone has to sacrifice.
Yeah, we have to live with this because our association is overseas, so that means everywhere around this planet. Okay, thanks everyone. We just stop here, and if you want to stay, you are very welcome to stay in the meeting room. Let's thank you again to Dr. Shih, and see you next month.